streaming now.
Did you rub my lamp?
1,000 generations to the Una.
Here we go. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. I know we got a little bit of a late start going here, but you couldn't believe it. Literally everything that could have gone wrong went wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, there was really just
In interesting ways.
yeah. I mean, it just There's really no way to put it. I mean, first it was the traffic. Actually, I think it started back. Like you going to the screening? Like, because we were at a screening, and then you were running late.
So roads and traffic in LA are quite different than Texas.
Yes.
So it's just a more laid back. Even when there's traffic in Austin, it's a laid back traffic.
Yeah.
And more you're on this road for a long time. LA, I mean, roads branch off. So I went the wrong way.
Right.
And I met up with one film critic, YouTube movie reviewer, friend of ours, and I thought I had enough time until I turned the wrong way, got lost, and then the screening we went to was like in an office building.
Yeah.
And you park under the building, and I didn't know what was going on. I went into the lobby. I was like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. So I was just going up the elevator each floor, like, is this where I watch movies?
Yeah.
So eventually I go downstairs, find someone who's like, oh no, just walk down this hallway. I walk down the hallway, and there's just like a girl with a laptop. And like, hey, and she's like, oh, are you Shaun? I am. I'm like, here, you can validate your parking with this. Head on right through this door. So I walk through the door, and I don't know if you walked in late. You're like in a pitch.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely.
Yeah. In front of you. I didn't know the space. I was like, oh dear, you just told me Scott Manson's in this room, and I'm about to stumble and fall out. And 10 minutes late to the movie, and so then I walk out. And it was okay. You were like right there in the front.
Yeah.
The world didn't come to an end.
Yes. Well, that's good.
That was exciting.
On top of all of that, apparently there's like a weird reverb going on. This is great. I think it has to do. Yeah. We can do that. Wait, are you still? Is this working? Is this better? Let us know in the chat if this is better. If this is better, we will continue with this sort of thing. We need to know if there is an echo going on. It is very important. Very important for everything.
If you wonder what I'm doing on my phone, I'm letting the world know what we're doing right now.
Oh, perfect. That's great. I'm very excited for this. But yeah, guys, please let us know if the reverb is fixed. I think I fixed it, but I'm not 100% sure. So if one of you could comment on that, it would be lovely. Do you want to? Is your mic working? Yeah, your mic's working just fine.
Well, that's nice.
But apparently, no one in the chat wants to. They don't want to acknowledge this. It's fixed. Okay, perfect. All right, there we go. So we are good to go. So thank you, everyone, for tuning into this. We're gonna dive in a little bit more into our crazy LA experiences, but thank you for tuning in. I know this is like an hour and a half late. The reason is because of just the utter chaos that went on, basically. But we're live now. Oh, also the fact that every technical issue that could go wrong went wrong. My laptop decided not to work, basically, with OBS. I had to open up Terminal and manually put in code. I had to manually put in code in order for us to go live. And that's
so also, if it seems like we're like, oh, wait, what are we doing? It's because we've been sitting here for about an hour. Like, why is it? Oh, wait, we're live now. Oh yeah, people are watching.
It's just complete frantic chaos. But yeah, so how was because this was your second screening you've been to. The first one was in the ArcLight, and I think you had the quintessential screening experiences. You had one at the ArcLight.
Yep.
Which is where they do a lot of screenings there. And then you had one in a tiny screening room, which is usually the other option. So talk a little bit about that, and is there one that you prefer more than the other?
Yeah, so the first one was at the Hollywood ArcLight, and that's kind of attached to the Pacific Cinerama?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how they're connected.
Yeah, the cinema. Yeah, the cinema or Cinerama. Yeah.
So if you've seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Margot Robbie goes to this crazy-looking old-school theater that's very cool-looking. That's attached to this theater that the screening was at.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right in the middle of Hollywood. So before the movie started, we were there way early. So we just kind of walked around, looking at the Walk of Fame and everything like that. And then even in the lobby of the theater, they have props from movies. And so they've got like a Joker suit right there, and then they've got the costumes from Terminator Dark Fate in these big glass cases. It was just like, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then the theater itself is just a normal theater. I mean, quality, but a normal theater.
Yeah.
And then we do the screening today.
Right.
It's total opposite.
Yeah.
It's literally an office building. As I mentioned,
Yeah.
I go into it and they're like, this is a law firm. Like, what are you doing on the third floor? Why don't you try floor 2? We're like, floor 2. Okay.
Yeah.
So I go to floor 2. It wasn't floor 2. So I go down to the lobby, and I mean, it's literally an office building with all kinds of businesses in it. A parking garage under the ground, which they don't do in Texas. That was pretty crazy just to see that.
Yeah.
And you walk down this hallway with nothing. I mean, it's just a blank hallway. You're like, am I about to get killed? And then you walk in, and it's this room with a screen in it. And you're like, oh, wow, we are watching a movie inside this building. So
Right.
it's the first and only time I've ever done something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool. And it's totally different because also when you do the press screenings in Austin, at least, have they're very open to the public.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's 50 critics, 100 critics, and then 100 people from the public, and that kind of determines the experience of watching the movie, as opposed to like, we are in a private little setting here.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit tough to say, especially with this movie that we watched.
Yeah.
You know, like getting punched in the solar plexus
Right.
for 2 hours straight.
Right. Yeah. It was. I mean, it was just relentless. We caught waves. Apparently, we're still having technical difficulties. There is like delays going on and everything. I really have no idea what else could be causing that. I wish I could help. You know, I really do. It's just one of those things. You know, this is very, yeah.
You absolutely insane.
Yeah, apparently there's a delay, and I don't really know what I can do about that. Hopefully it'll kind of fix itself. But sorry about that, guys. Anyway, so we go into the screening room, and Tyler Tompkins decides to send us a greeting from his double feature of Jay and Silent Bob.
Nice.
You know, he almost, and Zach sends his greeting from the lighthouse. Thank you to both of you. You know, Tyler almost skipped out on Waves to go see the Jay and Silent Bob double feature. To me, that's insane. Like that is actually insane.
He was very excited about that Jay and Silent Bob. He's been talking about it for days.
I know.
Days.
You've been living with him. How has
have.
that been? How have the living arrangements been with him?
It's been interesting because it's like we're sharing one room, and it doesn't have good air circulation.
Yeah.
And so then it's 20 degrees hotter than the rest of the house. So the whole thing's just kind of this adventure. And then I guess there's a jacuzzi outside, and the people we're with, you know, like the wacky tobacco, and so they're outside in the jacuzzi. Smoking weed while we're like cramped in this little room, like, let's watch Zombieland.
Oh God, that's that's funny.
And he's always eating cereal too. So it's pretty exciting.
Damn. Apparently, we just YouTube's bandwidth cannot handle both of us in the same room or something like that. I guess that's what the issue is. But the audio sounds fine.
Okay.
So just don't look at our mouths. I mean, yeah, it really is that simple. You know, we'll just we'll cover our faces like this. We'll be like those guys with the gas masks that we saw in the hill walking. We didn't finish the story. Okay, yes, please. Yeah. Right. Okay. So get to that thing. If you want to.
So
yeah, I'm going to let you tell the story. Yeah.
And gotta drive from where were we at?
We were at the Rodeo screening room, which is in Beverly Hills.
We're in Beverly Hills, and where are we at now?
North Hollywood.
We had to get to North Hollywood, which meant driving through the hills. And I guess the GPS decided to take us on the fun route.
Yes,
it
it
has
did.
less traffic and less barriers. It's goes both ways, but it's single lane. very windy, lots of cliffs you could fall off of.
Yeah.
And so we haven't even gotten there yet. And oh man, have you ever driven here? But no, I haven't driven here before. it's crazy. Like this. Be careful, man. You don't drive off the road. Like, what are they? Where are we about to drive? And so then we start driving through it, and it is. I mean, it's doing this stuff, and then suddenly you go around a curve, and there's a car there, and you're like, oh, well, there's a car there, and then suddenly we get into traffic because they're filming a movie.
Yes, they are.
Or
They were.
TV show. There's
They
a
were
production of
filming a
some sort.
movie.
And so at first it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I guess they're doing a little filming right over there. And we drive past that, and that's not where they were filming. That's just where some people were eating or something like that. And then we see like a dead mannequin body dangling over something.
Yeah.
And then there's like a guy on a scooter with a gas mask
Yeah.
on.
There were like several people with the gas mask. Did you
gas
see
masks everywhere. Like,
I
what
think
is going on here?
I think the first indication that we were in like some sort of weird area was when we were driving up, and it was like there was like a little bridge that we had to cross, and there was this girl just like on top of like the bridge with a gas mask on, just like looking at everyone with sunglasses, and I'm just like, what is going on here?
Way too much traffic on this road to do that.
Yeah.
That's weird. And she was far enough away from everyone that was like, I don't understand at all what is happening here. So yeah, that was our fun little adventure driving through all of there.
Yeah.
And then we decided to do like a quick little like, hey, let's do a quick announcement that we're running
very
behind.
very off
And
the cuff.
a fire truck drives by, and there's an ambulance, and
this was a very eventful day. In terms of just like random occurrences happening, and literally, like we said at the beginning, everything that could go wrong went wrong. So now we are here. We're doing a live Q&A. So if you guys have questions, send in your questions because we're going to be answering them here. Let's look at the chat and see if we've got anything other than, yes, it's a bandwidth issue. Hellos. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your hellos. Good seeing you live, Griffin. Well, thank you for joining this live stream. It's great. I have a lot of fun doing these, and it's always fun when I have a guest on as well. What is your guys' favorite October movie so far? Mine is Joker and Zombieland and Will Smith movie, Gemini Man. What is your...
You love Gemini Man.
I did. I hailed it as a technical marvel. Some of the best filmmaking I've seen all year.
Okay, let me see what...
That's exactly what it is. I'm just kidding.
He did not like Gemini Man.
Yeah, I definitely did not. Gemini Man is probably the worst film I've seen in October. What is the best film you've seen in October?
Let me see what my list says.
Are you keeping a running list?
So top two right now would be Joker and Dolomite Is My Name.
Damn. I have not seen Dolomite yet, and I really want to. I've heard nothing but good things.
And I guess Lighthouse is an October movie?
Yeah, Lighthouse
would that be one of the top? That one wouldn't be for me, but...
Lighthouse and Jojo Rabbit are also October films. I think right now it's a tie between The Lighthouse and Joker. I'm not really sure which one I feel more. And actually, if you look at my top 10 films of the year list, both of them are like within a space of each other. So that's kind of where we're at now with that. But if you live in an area, by the way, if you live in an area where Parasite and The Lighthouse and Jojo Rabbit is playing, I highly recommend going to seek those films out because they're fantastic, and they're some of the best of the year, especially Parasite.
I don't have Parasite on here. Okay.
Did you see Parasite?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah. I wasn't as much in the masterpiece category.
Sure.
But like, this is a very good movie that is able to be really funny for a lot of the runtime, and then when it transitions and gets really heavy, it does it in a way that you're like, oh, that worked. Yeah. Like, that was a massive tonal shift that felt totally consistent with what you were doing. It fit the story. You earned it with what you're doing. Yeah. And then you get to the end of it, and you are exploring it from the perspective of each of the characters and stuff like that. It's really powerful stuff and what they're able to do. Yeah,
I mean, like the way Bong Joon-ho balances tone, it should not be possible with where it starts and then where it ends. It's just like
so different.
Yeah, I mean, it really ends on a very heavy note, but when you're watching it from the beginning, it's like really this kind of like dark comedy, and so it's incredible. I think that is one of the best examples I've seen of balancing tone just ever. Like I can't name another movie that balances tone as well as Parasite.
It's what I went into. I had no clue what the movie was about.
Right.
And so you hear the title Parasite, and you assume a bunch of things. So Snowpiercer. So I was like, okay, that's what. And then the movie's not at all. If all you knew was Snowpiercer and Parasite, the title, that's not like it.
Yeah.
You would deeply misunderstand what this movie's going to be. And so it was like, wait, this is like funny.
Yeah.
And then it goes off in different directions as it goes along, and it's like, okay, this is not at all the movie I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, going back to some questions here. Speaking of which, Freddy vs. Jason is available on Prime. Is the stoner on that movie Jay, or is he just a what to be?
Jay is not in that movie.
Jay is not in that movie. Yeah.
That's Jason Mewes.
Yeah.
He's not in that movie, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Or is it just a wannabe? It's a wannabe.
It is a wannabe.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of Freddy vs. Jason. Just throwing that out there. I think it's okay, but like it didn't really do anything for. It's basically like Alien versus Predator. It's just like the fan service, kind of like, these two horror icons are gonna meet, and
and I mean it's a tough one because the original Nightmare on Elm Street, pretty classic. Third one, also very good.
Yeah.
Some people say better, maybe better. The Jason movies there's not really like, they're iconic if you love the genre. They deliver what the genre wants, but there's not one that's like, wow, that's a great, powerful piece of cinema.
Yeah.
And so then it does exist as kind of for the fan service. It's entirely that.
Oh, absolutely.
And then,
yeah.
So if you can buy into that, if you enjoy the novelty of, hey, look, they're having fun and there's some jokes in here.
Yeah.
Then it kind of works. I had a real positive experience with it because it was one of those ones where I went opening night with a group of friends. I mean, it was just that's a movie. If you watch that just by yourself, like, hey, let me watch Freddy vs. Jason on my laptop on a Thursday night because I'm bored, versus watch it with a crowd full of people opening night, like, they're killing it. That certainly enhanced the experience a lot. So I always have fond memories of that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair. And like the big thing for me when it comes to like horror movies like that, like classic slasher films, I didn't really grow up on those necessarily. Like I grew up on Halloween, so I always loved the Halloween movies.
Right.
Even though the sequels are kind of like shit, like I can still watch like Halloween 4, Halloween 5 and whatever. But like yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've just always been able to have fun with those. But I'll tell you what. The other franchise that I love in terms of slashers that I just endlessly rewatch and have fun with are the Scream films. Yeah. The Scream films are basically perfect in terms of what they're trying to do. To me, it's Wes Craven at his best. I love what he did in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and I love New Nightmare. But to me, New Nightmare was like the trial run at Scream.
That's
and then
one of the first movies I'm going to watch when I get back home.
Is New Nightmare?
Because I have a Elm Street ranking coming a week.
Oh,
after I get
gotcha.
home.
Perfect.
And that's the one I'm at. That's next. It's that one, and then Freddy vs. Jason. So this question, it's like extra where I'm at. I've never seen it before.
Oh, you are going to love it. Especially if you like what Craven does in Scream.
So the Scream movies, that's Scream 1 and 2. Those are my favorite slasher films. Because that's my era of high school.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, oh, like horror movies.
Yeah. And
that's when I kind of discovered them. And I watched like the Jason movies late at night on TNT out of order.
Yeah.
And then the Scream movies were the ones I really got into it. And just the Kevin Williamson, self-aware, it works on all the different levels to me. So I love those movies, and so. Yeah,
you are in for a real treat then. I think you'll like that one a lot. Okay, next question here. Going back to the chat. What is your favorite? I'm going to assume this is favorite. What is your favorite Marvel movie? You did a ranking of this. You've done many rankings of this.
Many rankings of this, so no matter which way you interpret it, I've got an answer to it. These are always really tough for me because even when I rank them, I'm ranking them as Marvel movies, and so that I use that as a category.
Yeah.
And as soon as you say favorite, I think about it entirely differently.
Yeah.
So when it was Marvel movies, I think I had Infinity War on top.
Number one?
I think I added number one because it's just so comic booky, large scale. The end of it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
Loved the interactions between so many different characters.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it had a good balance of tones.
Yeah, that does balance tone well. Yeah.
And so then that's the one that I think I said in that. But if you went with favorite, I don't really know.
Favorite's tough. Yeah, I mean, it really is. Like, I mean, right now, I think on top I have Endgame, which I know is a very cliched answer because it just came out, and obviously there's the recency factor. But I just think that, to me, Endgame is very much the Marvel Return of the King. It's got the epic third act. I think things start to get a little wonky in the second act, especially on like repeat viewings. But the opening is like straight out of The Leftovers. The ending is like straight out of Return of the King. The middle is like a weird time heist kind of thing, but they make it work.
And the finale is maybe the greatest fan service of all time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how you can top that, what they were able to do there, because it was so many movies, so much build up, and earned.
Yeah. I completely agree. So for me right now it would be Endgame. If we're taking Endgame out of the equation, Winter Soldier. I mean, Winter Soldier to me is just it's a Marvel film that seeks to do something other than be an MCU movie. So I always appreciate that. And also want to give a shout out to the Ant-Man films, because those of you who have been following me for a long time know that I will die on a hill defending the Ant-Man films. We just got an announcement of Ant-Man 3 today, actually. I will supposedly, it's not confirmed, but it is rumor mill. Yeah. Which actually, what is your take on that? Are you excited for it? I mean, obviously, it's going to happen.
Because I didn't think they were going to do it.
Oh, really? Oh,
I didn't think they were going to do a third one because they're the weakest performing of the franchises. For me, the Ant-Man films have always been the MCU going for a double and getting it. You've got a lot of Marvel movies, like Endgame is them not going for a home run, them going for a grand slam.
Right.
And I'd say they got a home run. And then you've got other ones that are going for and with the Ant-Man movies, they're not trying to be the biggest things. They're just trying to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And they succeed at that totally for me. They're some of the more rewatchable films, easiest to just put on. And so I really enjoy both of them.
Yeah.
And I think they go well together and do different things better than one another. And so for me, they've always kind of worked.
Yeah.
And I get confused when people are like, oh, I really didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp. Oh, I didn't like that. I get legitimately, I don't understand the criticism.
Yeah. I mean, they're really fun, light entertainment. But on top of that, I think that I think there's some of my favorite films in the MCU because they are so standalone.
Yep.
I mean, it really, because we don't have the Fantastic Four in the MCU right now, it really does feel like the MCU's stand-in for the Fantastic Four at the moment, because you've got Hank Pym in there, you've got Janet now, Cassie, who's now grown up from Endgame, so I'm sure she'll get in a suit. Luis is fun. I mean, it just, everyone feels like a family.
Yeah,
and so
family dynamics and science.
Yeah, exactly. So I love that. Yeah, exactly. So and Paul Rudd, I can't get enough of him. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, just one of these very solid, likable guys. It's hard not to root for him.
Yeah.
I love that when the MCU has like the Michael Douglases in it.
Yeah.
And then he's really into it. He's like, oh my, I don't know what any of this stuff is, but my grandkids love it, so I get to be something that they actually watch. Like, he says that stuff. And you've seen that little promo with him and Paul Rudd doing the ants.
The ants.
I mean, he's just like totally into it. And then when you have Michelle Pfeiffer, I mean, these are like, I grew up watching like Romancing the Stone.
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns. I mean, that's like so much of what I grew up watching. And so now that they're in these and just kind of bring a level of like prestige in this weird way to very lighthearted films that aren't prestige, but they kind of bring some of that to it. I love all of that. So they're just a ton of, and Michael Peña's the one
great.
Stealing scenes left and right.
Yeah. I think the thing, I mean, and I really like what they do with the Hank Pym character and how they've kind of like made it so it's like his demons are kind of coming back to haunt him and his family and stuff. So I thought they did a good job of exploring that in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Okay, going back to the chat. Hello. Have either of you guys seen the latest Fox series Prodigal Son? Have you seen it? No.
In my case, most all of the TV I watch, I talk about on my channel in some regard.
Yeah.
It tends to be stuff like superhero type things. I do watch This Is Us, and haven't really talked about that on my channel. I watch like American Ninja Warrior, but a lot of generic just Katie, have you watched this? I probably haven't if I haven't talked about it.
Yeah, I have not watched it. I don't really watch a lot of TV unless it's like must-see TV, so I haven't really heard anything about it.
I haven't either. I have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I've just seen like billboards around it because you live in LA and you get that sort of thing. But no, I've not seen it. What music do you guys listen to the most? For me, I mean, I know it's kind of a generic answer. I do listen to just about everything. The only genre I'm not a huge fan on is country, and I've never been a big country music fan. But I'll listen to the blues though. So it's like it's just the country as a whole I can't get into, but like you go to like Southern rock, you go to blues, like Nashville style, Memphis stuff, like I can dig that. But I don't listen to that very often. I'm mostly like alt rock, EDM, and rap. Those are my 3 go-to genres that are on rotation. And film scores as well, because I like working to film scores.
Minecraft parodies and the Lego Movie 2 soundtrack is probably what I listen to the most. That's an honest answer because I have kids. Like, can we listen to it again? These are the worst parodies of all time, son. Please stop.
Yeah, honestly,
have you ever listened to Minecraft parodies?
I have not, and I don't think I want to.
Well, I'm gonna torture you as soon as this live stream's done.
Oh dear.
So actually, what I choose to listen to, literally, I go with every week, whatever playlist my Apple favorites gives me, that's normally what I run through.
Nice.
And the majority of the time, it's basically rock, punk, pop punk.
Yeah. Oh, that's
emo,
same. Yeah, big for me. Yeah.
Sometimes ska, but music from about 1990 until 2005. Sometimes they'll give me 80s week. There's a lot of times they'll funnel in songs from movie soundtracks. Tom Petty shows up a lot, stuff like that. That's kind of the general idea of what it gives me.
Yeah.
But I tend to be more in the rock pop vein of things.
That's fair. Yeah.
And pretty much, from about 1980 to 2005 is the music that I've spent the most time with. And around 2005, I really liked the band Say Anything, Hello Goodbye, and then the last 10 years, I've got 2 old, had kids, got married, and haven't kept up as well.
Well, if you are interested in more recent pop punk music, I can probably give you
I will take some suggestions.
I will give you some suggestions.
Get them to start cycling into my lists.
Perfect. There we go. They say Gemini Man is awful. It is awful. Don't see it. What is your?
I would be on a different answer on that one. That's another one. I'm a little bit confused, but it seems like me and Anthony,
right? Silver Screen, yeah.
Silver Screen Analysis. We're like, I had some fun with that one. Everyone else seems to hate it. Like, we must be crazy.
Man,
and it's not just like you. Like, we staying with Tyler, and one of his roommates, she walks out and she's like, I went to go see Gemini Man. It sucked. He walked out in the middle of it. And I couldn't believe it. And Will Smith, it is like the most boring movie I've ever seen. I was like, wow, interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, it just... that script is just, it's terrible. It really ruins a lot of the good stuff. And why did Ang Lee want to do the high frame rate? He's diving into James Cameron territory where he's all about just technological advancements for filmmaking, which is great, by the way. That stuff needs to happen, but he's forcing this technology that no one wants and that I don't think is ever going to be accepted. Why do I want this like weird VR like high frame rate kind of shit? Like, it feels cheap, you know?
Right. Yeah, I really don't get it.
It's
I don't know
weird.
What he was going for. I don't know why Ang Lee read that script and went, let's go for it.
Yeah,
it's very confusing to me what he was going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's baffling.
And I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I mean, I was like a B-, so it was like, if this is my recommended line, I was only right here.
Right.
But it was enjoyable enough for me. But that's also my genre. Like,
for sure.
I rent direct-to-video action movies. Like, I watch all those Scott Adkins things that you're like, who watches that? Like, I do. And most of them, like, that wasn't very good. But some of them I enjoy. But, I mean, I can understand why people didn't like it. The hate is the part where I'm like, I really didn't like it. But even my wife, she saw it with me, and I was thinking she would be kind of more along the lines of where I felt about it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know, like, it was 2 Will Smiths, and I was like, neither one of them was fun Will Smith. It was like I understood why old Will Smith was mostly like cranky, like, oh man, what have I done with my life? And then when they introduced the young one, he kind of was a little bit sassy at the beginning, so I thought we were going to get sassy. No, he started crying pretty quickly too.
Yeah,
so you didn't get Will Smith doing Will Smith.
I think I could have I could have forgiven a lot of the story elements and even the high frame rate if it was just entertaining. It just was boring. Like it was so dull. I kept like falling asleep at times. I was just like, I don't want to do this. But anyways, what is your favorite decade for movies? What movies are your favorites from that decade? That is a tough question to answer on the spot. My favorite decade for movies. I mean, do you have an answer?
I think I would have to go the 80s.
Yeah.
So much of, if you look at my top 10 favorites or top 20 favorites, the movies that define me, it is the movies that either I saw growing up in my first 10 years of life, because I was born in the early 80s, or the movies that I was like, I always wanted to watch those movies, and then in the early 90s, I was like finally able to watch them on cable and stuff like that. Yeah. But, just like Die Hard, Predator, Rocky franchise, into the Star Wars franchise, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters. That's the stuff. The first Terminator movie, that kind of so much Aliens. So many of my favorites right there.
Yeah.
So I'd go 80s.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I really like the 50s and 60s. Especially a lot of the Hitchcock films, a lot of the spaghetti westerns, Bond films.
Spaghetti westerns, another one that I discovered around that same time period.
Yeah.
Got Clint Eastwood, and then I bought like a whole deal on Bond films too. So
oh yeah,
you're
perfect.
Literally defining like 1995. I discovered all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I grew up watching like The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Like Psycho. We went like a bunch of other stuff like that, and I mean, even stuff like My Fair Lady, like some of the musicals around that period of time. Yeah, I really like that kind of era for film. But I mean, the early 2000s was kind of like when I watched a lot of stuff, and some of my favorite movies of all time came out in the early 2000s. You know what I'll say, and the decade's not over, but I think the 2010s was actually a really remarkable decade for cinema. Like, there was a lot of just unique stuff that came out, and a lot of advancements in filmmaking were made, and just stories that hadn't been told were being told. And so when we look back on it, I could definitely see the 2010s being up there, but we're living in it, so we can't really judge it for right now.
Well, and it's a decade that's kind of interesting because it's very easy to only see blockbuster side things, and that's the space that I'm very much in. Yeah. And so you can look at it and be like, you just see everybody trying to build a shared universe. Right. Marvel doing it, everyone else failing at it, and way too many blockbusters that are reboots, sequels, and adaptations of things. Yeah. But as soon as you get beyond that, it's a pretty cool decade. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel. Well, plus it's, as opposed to the early 2000s, it really feels like, you're right, with like the shared universe thing. It's like something just different that we haven't seen before. So that's a nice thing that we'll have to look back on. Favorite Netflix original movie of all time. Do you have an answer? I don't know if I have an answer, to be honest. I don't know that I have one off the top of my head, because there's not. I don't have one that just like head and shoulders above the others. There's just a lot of them that I was like, oh, that was a fun little watch on Netflix. I understand why it was debuted on Netflix, but I enjoyed it enough. Like, I really enjoyed Triple Frontier. Oh, that was great. Yeah. But, like, it's not a movie that at the same time that it's like, oh, man. Yeah, right. It's like, I enjoy that Netflix makes it so movies like that can get made. I enjoy little, heist thrillers like that. That it was nice that could exist. Always Be My Maybe from this year. Always Be My Maybe is great. A rom-com with probably the best cameo of the year. Oh, yeah. But another one that it's not like just head and shoulders above everything else. Right. And I haven't seen Roma to know if that's going to blow my mind. Oh, you should. Oh, shoot. That's probably the best one, is Roma. I wasn't the biggest fan of that film. I think it's artistically, it has like a lot of artistic merit, and it's a beautiful story, but it wasn't personally for me. I do think Roma would probably be up there. You know what? I'm going to go with The Irishman. I'm going to jump the gun on this, and I'm going to say that Martin Scorsese, whatever film he's making, it's going to be the best if it's on Netflix. So
Moving on to the next question. What is your favorite musical? Do you have one?
Once More with Feeling.
Oh.
The Buffy the Vampire Slayer musical.
Ah, yes. It's
From
my
season 6, I believe episode 7.
It's my favorite as well.
I'm not a musical person to. It's not one where I naturally gravitate towards. So
fair enough.
like even everyone like, oh, La La Land. It's not like I'm not a huge La La Land fan. That's not a criticism. That's just not my thing.
Yeah. It's tough because I mean, are we talking like movie musicals, or are we talking like musicals from the stage, or is it? Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, La La Land's definitely up there. I think just because of like how much it has stuck with me and how much I love the music and the film and stage version of it, I'm gonna go Sweeney Todd, Demon Barber, Fleet Street, and it's different, so we'll go with that one. Hello, what are your thoughts on 1917? Haven't seen the film. The trailers and featurettes that I've seen from it are blowing my mind. Sam Mendes doing a World War I movie that's done as a one-take, shot by Roger Deakins, with a bunch of A-list talent peppered throughout. Yes, sign me up.
I agree. It looks terrible. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I mean, when I kind of had my formative years of getting into movies beyond blockbusters, when I first discovered, wait, there's movies that are good that don't have explosions.
Mm-hmm.
American Beauty comes out.
Yep.
And so then he's one of these guys who's kind of been on my radar, and then he's went on the Bond train for a little bit there. And
Yeah.
Wasn't so crazy about that second one, so it's like kind of a return to him.
Yeah.
Doing his thing.
Yeah.
And he does different things. Because he did American Beauty, and then he followed up with Road to Perdition, which could not be so different. Yeah,
it's weird. He's one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, actually. And American Beauty is one of my favorite films of all time. So getting to watch like his progression as a director is very interesting, because you're right. Other than the two Bond films, each project has been so distinctly different.
Even like found out he was going to do Bond films, like what?
Right? What? Yeah. What is that? What is a Sam Mendes Bond film? And then you get Skyfall, and it's arguably one of the best in the entire series. So yeah, it's crazy. Okay, going back to the chat here. Sorry if we're behind on questions. By the way, there's a lot of them coming in, and we're just talking. So
and I'm long-winded on. When it's just me.
Oh, yeah, and I'm long-winded as well, so you're going to get very thoughtful answers. So keep sending in those questions. If you want to make sure that we get to the question, the super chat option is available, but I don't feel pressured to do that. We'll get to them. What are comedies you guys are in the minority on? Ooh,
saw Jexy the other day.
Oh, God, that's right. How terrible was it? It was pretty bad, right?
So I was actually pretty tracking with it for the first 2/3. Like, it was enjoyable. I enjoy Adam Devine as a personality.
Yeah.
And then Rose Byrne, I enjoy her. So it's pretty straightforward. Exactly what you expect of an R-rated movie about his phone being mean to him to get him to go out in public. Real obvious, straightforward message. And then at the second to third act break, it goes off the rails. Like they had no clue what movie they wanted to make. Whether like, are we doing a rom-com with the technology gimmick, or are we making a movie about a crazy girlfriend that's a phone, right? Which one are we doing here? And it like, I was like, okay, why are people hating on this? And I was like,
yeah,
man, what were you? Why?
Yeah, I mean, like even from the trailers, you got that they had no idea what they wanted to do, and it was just, yeah. Anyways, comedies I'm in the minority on though. I don't know. I'm kind of tricky with. I think Austin Powers Goldmember is probably the best Austin Powers film, so that might be a hot take. So we'll go with that. Depending on the day.
I guess my hot take is not really a hot take, but a taste thing. I've realized over this last year that I'm just not a teenage kids getting to the party to do drugs and stuff like that. People, hey, look, don't you like Superbad? Like, hey, it definitely makes me laugh. I just don't get into those movies. And then Booksmart, another one, it was like, didn't you make you like? Absolutely, it was funny, and I can see why other people are really into it. But like, I'm just not into that.
Yeah,
as a genre.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I can understand. I did love Booksmart, but like that, you're right. Usually that genre doesn't quite do it for me. Hello again. VHS or DVD? Keep this one quick.
Blu-ray?
Yeah, I know, right? Like,
definitely not VHS.
Yeah,
VHS is terrible technology.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And it's not high res.
No.
And it degrades over time.
Yeah.
And you can't skip.
Yeah.
It's terrible technology.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go DVD. They're both.
If you have to go between DVD, and then the good thing about the DVD era is when it first came out, the special features were phenomenal.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's the reason why. Yeah, you're right. And they've just really skimped on it now.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll release it on digital and with nothing. So if that's the way home media is going, I'm very disappointed.
When that transition from VHS to DVD happened, I mean, that was an incredible upgrade in technology at that point in time. So much
Right.
so when Blu-rays came out, it's like, what? It looks a little bit better. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
Now I look back
Yeah.
like, oh, that was a pretty dumb thought.
Yeah, yeah. Do you remember HD DVDs, the red ones, and like my
I
friends.
held out for a while.
I did
don't know where
too.
this is going.
Exactly. I was like, my friends and I would always have these conversations. We'd be like, "Oh, which one's gonna win? Is it gonna be the red case or the blue case?" And the blue case won because I think didn't like Disney make a deal with Blu-ray, and that's kind of like how it.
I don't know the history on that one.
Yeah, if you know the history of how Blu-ray beat out HD DVD, be sure to let us know in the chat below. What is your favorite superhero movie? For me, I consider the Dark Knight trilogy a single entity, so that, which I know is cheating, but my favorite does fluctuate between through the three of them. So.
And you're even a big defender of the third one.
I love the third one. Given like I said, given the day, The Dark Knight Rises could be my favorite out of the trilogy. Which is I know it's a bold statement, but
and I'm not a hater on it all. I mean, I would give it a very, very positive review. I would just say that there's some story problems that are more prominent than the other two films. But I go back and forth between the other two. I don't have whenever I put out some video of mine where I last had to rank the two of them, Cody Leach, a good YouTube friend of mine, came after me like, dude, you put Dark Knight on top. You told me it was bad. It was a different day of the week.
Yeah.
For me, when I go favorite on superhero movies, I normally say Superman the movie because it's favorite. That's what I grew up with. And it's one of those movies that is just so important that in the 70s they made a Superman movie where they tried to take it seriously. Yeah. And that compared to before that, it was 60s Batman with Biff, Baff, and Zowie where they punch each other. And then Richard Donner's like, let's try and do something serious. And you watch it now, and it definitely is the camp of the 70s. Mm-hmm. But compared to what it could have been, I mean, you watch the first hour. The first hour is not campy at all. Yeah. Remotely, it's until they get to Metropolis and Otis is walking around and stuff like that. It's not campy at all.
Yeah. No, for sure. I guess it's one of those things that's just like, because I didn't grow up watching it. Yeah. I can't go back. Like, I would rather, I mean, to me, Man of Steel is the best Superman film, and Man of Steel is also one of my favorite comic book films of all time. I do have a list where I kind of like rank the top 10 comic book movies on Letterboxd, so I mean, you can go follow me over there if you want to check that out. Let's see, what do you like to eat while watching movies? I'm pretty basic. I just, if I'm feeling it, I'll go with the popcorn. To me, there's nothing better than getting popcorn, although I'm very particular about like the butter on the popcorn. Yeah. If you go to like an ArcLight theater where they use like actual butter, like they're like, we use real butter instead of this like yellow liquid
whatever that stuff is.
Yeah, whatever that is. Yeah, they just dump it on you. You're just like, this is clogging my arteries. I can't. Why am I doing this? But like, I have to put something on here. Yeah, nothing better than like the ArcLight popcorn with salt and butter on it, and it's just that to me is great. And then I feel bloated afterwards. So it's it just comes full circle.
Yeah, I love to eat popcorn while watching a movie, and if I need dinner, then I get a hot dog. Angus dog.
Angus dog.
Don't know the difference other than it's bigger, but so yeah, that's my picks.
Well, and you get the draft houses too, so you get
that's real butter too.
Yeah, you get that right. The draft house is just all real butter.
And if it's my wife and I at the draft house, then we get a pizza.
Oh, that's
and nachos instead of the popcorn.
Right. I've heard the shoot. What is it? The milkshakes. The milkshakes at the draft house are good. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Absolutely, they are.
I haven't had one. The
$5 milkshake.
$5 milkshake better be good. Holy crap. Yeah. Oh, someone sent in a super chat. Well, thank you so much. Do you have let's see if we have a question. I'm still like getting used to this whole oh, perfect. All right, we got a super chat. Thank you so much, my man, for sending that in from Shift YSL. Oh, my Uncut Gems buddy. It's great to hear from you. Thank you so much for sending that in. That means a lot. Favorite Kubrick film? I'm a 2001 kind of guy, but I just watched Eyes Wide Shut for the first time, and I can't get that dreamlike Manhattan out of my head. Yeah, it depends on who you talk to. I know Tyler Tompkins is a huge fan of Eyes Wide Shut. And so like I get it, and you're right. Like the dreamlike Manhattan is very is very appealing when it comes to it. I also just like seeing Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman together.
I thought you were gonna say naked. I was like, wow, that's an awfully honest thing to say.
Well, of course, right?
It's true.
I mean, let's be real here. No, it's tough, man. I love The Shining, but I keep going back to seeing 2001: A Space Odyssey in theaters for the IMAX re-release on 70mm print, the one that Christopher Nolan like personally oversaw, and then some people gave him shit for it, and I was just like, oh, fuck you. And so like that was such just like a visceral movie-going experience. I absolutely adored it. Honestly, man, I gotta side with you. I think it is 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like that movie is just mind blowing to watch.
I've never been a big Kubrick guy.
Yeah,
because I'm a lot more kind of concrete.
Sure.
In my thinking,
sure.
In the way that I like plot, and so I can watch somebody like I get why what he's doing really appeals to a lot of people. I'm just not wired this way.
Yeah.
So then Full Metal Jacket's the one that's kind of stuck with me a little bit more for that reason.
Full Metal Jacket's really good. The thing with Full Metal Jacket is I prefer the first half. Yeah, and then the second half I kind of like, okay, that's fine. But with what's his face, the drill sergeant, I forget his name, but
3 names, Lee.
Oh yeah, it's something Lee. Yeah, you're right. He's great. Mm-hmm. And then Vincent D'Onofrio, and then him going crazy and snapping at the end. But you're right. Yeah, it does kind of loses steam for me a little bit towards the end. But anyways, thank you so much, my man, for sending in the super chat. Really, really appreciate that. If you guys do want your questions answered, you can feel free to do that as well. But we're gonna try and get to as many of these as possible. Keep going. Favorite song made for a movie? Once again, I don't even know if I have an answer.
I mean, you're the best from The Karate Kid.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Also, are we talking about like a song for Frozen, or are we talking about like in the 80s when they did write these kind of theme songs like that?
Yeah, I think we're talking. I think we're talking like the like songs specifically made for a movie, not necessarily featured in it. It could be like in an end credits or whatever. What mine is Purple Lamborghini in Suicide Squad. I think that was a song that revolutionized cinema. Along with Jared Leto's Joker. Yeah. Which, by the way, did you see the image that David Ayer posted?
Yes.
With the haha eyebrows?
Yeah. Nice.
Really disappointed that didn't see the light of day. Anyways, what is the most disturbing movie you have ever seen?
Saw The Golden Glove.
I've never seen that.
A month ago. We go into the movie, and the lady, it's at a film festival.
Yeah.
And it's, I believe, a German film? Spanish film?
Yeah.
I guess it probably in German. Anyway, sorry. I saw a lot of movies that week.
Sure.
And the lady introduces the film. She goes, a lot of people have been criticizing this film for being vile, repugnant, morally disgusting, but I believe that there's a lot of merit to it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say enjoy, but if you enjoy this film, then you're probably a sociopath. Says it straight face, and then they do an introduction from the director, and he's like, "Hey, it's a movie about a real guy, serial killer in the neighborhood where I grew up, and my dad knew the guy a little bit. This isn't really a movie you can recommend to anyone." Okay, so the person that picked it to show it to us is like, "Please don't enjoy this movie," and the director was like, "I don't know who you would recommend this to." And it starts off with him. Maybe raping a dead body.
Oof.
And then pulling out a hacksaw and cutting the body up.
That's
the opening scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, and then it kind of has a dark sense of humor inside of it.
Yeah.
Where you're laughing at things where you're like, oh no, and it's just, it's like this guy that preyed on desperate old women in a bar.
Oh God.
And so then it's like so desperate for a drink that they would like follow him around, and like the lady signed away all of her rights to him on a piece of paper, just because he would give her alcohol. I mean, it's just like, in this like very blunt, realistic take on this depiction of alcoholism in this way that like as we're coming out of the theater, of all the things you could talk about, like the disturbing serial killer, people like it's also like a really good depiction of alcoholism.
Ooh.
But everything about it, you're just like your stomach is turning.
Man,
and you can't turn your eyes away. You're just like captivated and disgusted.
Is it bad that I'm like actually intrigued to watch this now?
It's an experience. Like, get together with your mother, your sister, and a bowl of popcorn with a lot of
course, with a lot of
butter,
real butter,
then watch this man brutalize women.
Beautiful. That actually reminded me of The House That Jack Built, and that's another disturbing film that I kind of watched. Anyways, away from that gross stuff. Hi guys. Hey, how's it going? Movie that way exceeded your expectations this year. I'll let you take the
two that come to mind when I first read that would be Fighting with My Family. Wasn't on my radar at all. It was like, oh, I better go to the movies tonight, and headed out to go see it. Watched the trailer right before. I was like, that looks actually pretty good. Really, really dug it. It worked. It provided all the things you want from kind of a sports dramedy, while not playing into the exact tropes. Yeah. And then one from a month ago that I mentioned earlier, Dolomite Is My Name.
Oh, yeah,
Not on my radar at all. Eddie Murphy's in it. I haven't enjoyed anything he's done in 25 years or whatever. And then it was announced at the secret screening at this film festival I just mentioned. Like, they didn't announce the movie. I showed up hoping it was going to be Zombieland 2 or The Joker, maybe Dr. Sleep. And then like, Dolomite Is My Name, and I was like, "Oh man, come on!"
Yes.
And then I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I will answer that. I do see we have another super chat in here from Keshav Batra. So thank you very much. We'll get to your question in a second. Movie that exceeded my expectation. I'm gonna go Long Shot. I didn't really. I thought it was just going to be like another Seth Rogen kind of comedy, like whatever, Charlize Theron is in this one this time around. But, it surprised me. It had a lot of heart to it. It was very timely. They were able to make a political satire in the Trump era that wasn't, that actually like it had some bite to it, but like it was smart. They weren't like just going for low hanging fruit. Right. Which, I mean, I don't think I've seen one of those films like a satire of this political era. Right. So I really appreciated that. On top of it just being, great. And
it had bite without just being a movie that was designed for half the country.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And so they did things inside of it where like Seth Rogen's character's the jerk, and then I don't want to say too much because it's kind of a reveal in the movie. But it was like, oh, let's treat people like people.
Yeah.
And stop like viewing everyone as whatever label you put on them and stuff like that.
Exactly.
It was like handled it in a way that was like, yeah, this is the way that you should do this.
Yeah, exactly. And it was one of those things where I like just talking to because I got to talk to the director for that film, Jonathan Levine. Just hearing like kind of his approach to it and where his head was at in terms of it was very much in line with that sort of thing. So it was I hope we get more movies along those lines because that to me is very. I feel like that approach is indicative of what people are. When people look back at this era, they're going to be like, "What the hell was going on?" And so, like,
it's a weird time.
It's just totally bizarre. Anyways, thank you so much for that question. Long Shot was really the might be the only one I can think of right now, but if we think of any more, I'll get back to you. Okay, going to the super chat from Keshav. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Favorite Pixar movie and Onward. I'm assuming you're saying what are our thoughts on Onward and Soul? Well, I don't know if you even know anything about Onward and Soul other than just like the basic premise, right?
I mean, I've seen the first trailer for Onward.
Right.
I don't know if they put out a new trailer recently for one of them.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I haven't seen that. I don't even know which movie it's for. So just favorite Pixar movie. Finding Nemo's the one that I watched it for the first time like 5 years ago.
Oh wow.
So the first 10 years it was out, I was like, fish movie. Someone loses their memory. Ellen DeGeneres. What's the big deal?
Right. Yeah.
And then when you watch it as a child, you resonate with Nemo, and when you watch it as an adult, as a parent, because I watched it for the first time with my son.
Right.
In which case you watch it as a movie about parenting.
Right.
And I had my son was 1 or something like that when we first watched it, and so it was just a really profound experience of kind of like seeing a movie like that that's made for 2 different audiences, 2 different generations, and it nails it. It works. And so that's the one that kind of clicked for me. As for the Onward and Soul, I don't know anything about Soul.
Which I'll jump in there because I attended D23, so we got a little bit of a lowdown on Onward and Soul. Onward looks like it's going to be a very touching story about like brothers and like grief and stuff like that. It's, to me, that's a movie that's going to be really personal to the director. When he came out and started talking about it, he said he drew a lot of it from his own experiences with his brother after his father died. So I always like to see when the creators infuse that stuff into their own work. Soul, on the other hand, looks exceptional. It is, from what I've seen of it, it's like this it's basically questioning like our existence as people, which, I mean, leave it to Pixar to do a movie like that, and it's going to feature a lot of jazz. The movie basically follows this guy who is like a jazz teacher and like a failed jazz musician, and then like he gets hit by a car one day and his soul goes to heaven, and like then I'm trying to like remember what the footage they saw from it. It was so long ago, but like he goes up there and he learns about this like anyways, I'm like drawing a blank on some of the details, but basically it's a film that deals a little bit like maybe with like reincarnation and like having a second life, and so it's gonna be a very like meaty movie that we're gonna be able to dive into. It's just
the Onward, the one about trolls or whatever, that one seemed weird to me, that they were like, it doesn't feel Pixar to me.
Yeah.
It feels like Dreamworks.
I agree with that. Yeah.
From just the first trailer, it's like, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't feel like it has that Pixar touch.
Right.
When you describe this one,
that's
that weird, like when Pixar does these things and it's like, we're going to make a movie about a robot that doesn't talk for 45 minutes and it's about recycling.
Yeah,
and we're going to make a movie about puberty and depression and how to like visualize your emotions in a manner, and let's visualize puberty and what it's like for a little girl to go, like, what are you doing? And that's the crazy Pixar that I've been frustrated the last few years that
we haven't really gotten
so many sequels in a row, and like I was just criticizing Toy Story 4 for its gave it glowing reviews when it came out. Like they proved me wrong. Yeah. But crazy Pixar's the one that's
what I like.
That's that's the special thing. Like, oh, you made another great Toy Story movie. Well, you kind of did that.
Yeah, I'm like, you should. Right.
If you pull off a movie about ontology and our existence, and it's this existential film for my child, that I'm like, wow, has a lot to say.
Yeah.
That's something that's next level.
It really is.
And that's why Pixar is Pixar, is that they've done so many things that are that next level, weird. On paper, that's a terrible idea, but you did it.
Yeah, I mean, it still blows me away that a movie like Inside Out works. And it seems when they were giving the presentation, they were talking about all this stuff. Oh, we've done a movie that tackles this through like this. They obviously brought up, Inside Out, and I think it's going to be a movie that's kind of more along that line, but it still feels very, very different. So I can't wait for that. As far as my favorite Pixar movie, The Incredibles, to me, it's one of my favorite films of all time, actually, and I have such a special relationship with it, and I love the spy influence that it has, along with like the retro superhero sort of thing. So I'm the first Incredibles to me is just like a perfect movie, but. Yeah. Anyways, can we get the full non-spoiler review of Uncut Gems while you're riding that high and still do a video near December? Well, unfortunately, Shaun has not seen Uncut Gems, so I don't know if you guys want to hear me ramble about it right now, but I promise you I am putting out a review for Uncut Gems within the next week or so, maybe within like the next couple of days or so, because I'm gonna put one out for The Lighthouse, and then I'm also gonna put one out for Uncut Gems, because I screened both of those, and probably Waves, because I just saw that for the second time and it just rocked me. Still my #1 film of the year. So long story short, it's Adam Sandler's best performance since Punch Drunk Love. He needs to be in Oscar consideration. He needs to be in the Oscar conversation. I think A24 is going to really try and push him. I mean, it's a movie that just stresses you out from the get-go in the best possible way. So, yeah, I mean, I really cannot wait to talk about it more. I can't wait for you to see it, actually. I'm curious what you're going to think about it, but... I
mean, I'm in that group that's been rooting for Adam Sandler to win an Oscar for over 15 years. And then right when it was like, oh, man, this is really cool that the guy from The Wedding Singer is like an Oscar contender.
Yeah.
And then... he spent the last 10 years making
just terrible Netflix movies.
Each year's worst comedy of the year.
Yeah.
It was always him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, why are you doing this? I don't understand. You were on the track and then off the rails.
Yeah.
Just so many people rooting for him to be on that next level.
Well, that's the thing. I think him and Eddie Murphy have a good chance of making a big splash in the Oscar race this year because of that sort of like Dolomite was Eddie Murphy's comeback role. Uncut Gems is showing that Adam Sandler is actually a great actor. But yeah, I mean, anyways, I won't dive too much more into that because I will do a proper review on it. And yes, I might also put out another review in December. I'm working, no guarantee, but I am working on potentially speaking to the Safdies and Adam Sandler for that film. I really am a huge fan of it.
If you could just ask him,
I'll send him your way.
Why did you... What was that deal with the Netflix?
Like, listen.
Let's do Don't Mess with the Zohan. And I went, I'm just going to stick with that for 10 years on Netflix.
Yeah, man. What a weird movie, Don't Mess with the Zohan. But yeah. Every time I think about that, I'm just like, what?
And I watched it and I was like, this is terrible. And like, what is this weird plot in it?
Yeah.
And then I went to a mall in Denver and there was a guy like that. He was like, darling. It's just like doing the whole like sexy hitting on every girl that walked by. And he was from Israel. I was like, I had no clue that this was an actual like, it was based off of a thing. I had no clue.
That's insane, man. Anyways, I see we have a lot of questions we still got to get to. If you really do want us to answer your questions, we're going to try and get through all of these, but if you really do want us to answer it, you can send us a super chat and we'll answer that immediately. That'll be the next thing we get to. Thoughts on Criterion Blu-rays? Do you have any thoughts on Criterion Blu-rays? I really don't either. I mean, I like that the creators get to oversee restoration of their films. I think that's pretty cool, and sometimes there's some good bonus features thrown in there, but
isn't there a Criterion for Armageddon?
There is, because apparently Michael Bay is an auteur.
Yeah.
I think there's one for is there one for The Rock? I don't know. If there is a Criterion for The Rock, please let us know. Thoughts on Silence of the Lambs? It's classic.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
Amazing performance, great character.
Yeah.
And one of those examples of a just dominant force of a character and performance is 10 minutes in the movie.
Yeah. To me, that's like the true definition. I mean, like there are more involved supporting performances, but when I look to like supporting performances that make an impact the second they're on screen, I look to Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, and then more recently I look to shoot, why am I blanking on his name? Mahershala Ali in Moonlight. Only in it for like the first act of that movie, which is maybe 15-20 minutes long, but he makes a huge impact on it, and that was a well-deserved Oscar win. But yeah, I mean, it's a great... Silence of the Lambs is one of the greatest films of all time. So it's great. What horror franchise is your guys' favorite? Okay, so this opens it up a little bit. It's not just slasher. This is horror. Do you have one?
Saw movies after the first one. I mean, once it just started becoming torture porn, that was like, man, I love this. I would still go with the Scream movies.
Yeah, I think I would too. Scream or Halloween. I have such affinity for those movies. You know what's funny? I actually rewatched the original Saw film a couple nights ago. Man, is that a dirty movie. It's not just in terms of just like subject matter, but just in terms of look, grit. I mean, it is the definition of just a grunge movie. You feel gross watching it, but you know, the ending always gets me when Hello Zep starts playing and you know, Jigsaw, like, he comes up and it's just like, oh my God. Like it really shows, you know, the potential James Wan had from a young age, or from a directorial
Another
debut.
guy with just a very interesting career. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's so diverse, and even like, oh, he's going to do a superhero movie. I wonder what that's going to be like.
Yeah.
Nothing like what you would think it would be like.
Yeah.
It's like he does the brightest, most cartoonish of the ones in the DCEU.
Yeah. It's nuts to me. Current pick for Best Picture at the moment. Ooh. We are going to cover this on the Front Runners this weekend, which, for those of you who don't know, I do an awards season show called The Front Runners with Tyler Tompkins, and this weekend it's going to return, and we're going to be giving you our early Oscar predictions. I still got to think about that because it's really tough, because I don't think there is a clear front runner at the moment. As opposed to other years, there are just so many good things out right now. Yeah, I don't know. Do you
That's
even...
not my thing at all.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm just not. I just don't even think that way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a much more of a favorites person, or even after we're watching Waves and you guys were in the car ride talking about the movie, I was like, you guys are way above my pay grade. You know, I need more explosions to have something to say.
Fair enough.
So like right now, if I was picking Joker, but I even feel kind of goofy saying that. So
I feel like that movie's gonna lose a lot of steam. It's feeling like it's doing the Star is Born thing, where it comes out, makes a big splash, but then
that's what I would have said a year ago at this time.
Yeah, exactly. Man, let's go with, for Best Picture. Let's go with The Irishman for right now, but I think I'll be wrong on that. Maybe Parasite. If Neon makes a big push for Parasite, I could see that doing huge. I will lose my head defending the Ant-Man films. Joey's movie blog. I am right there with you, sir. I completely agree.
We talked about that earlier.
Yes.
We dig them.
We dig the Ant-Man films. Jacksman 2000. Do you ever get the feeling if Roger Ebert was alive, what films you think he would have been? What films would have been some of his favorites so far this year? I don't know, because the thing about Roger Ebert was he was such an unpredictable guy when he critiqued films. So it would be really tough to
He didn't
tell.
fall into an obvious lane.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, every time he would say something, it was new. But good question. Don't know if I'd have an answer for you.
I wouldn't have a guess, and I've watched a ton of his stuff and read some of his books. But that's why people liked him.
Yeah.
Is that he wasn't obvious in what it was going to be. It wasn't he likes these but not these.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Where is your favorite place to watch movies, and what holiday movie do you like? Do you have for me, the best place to watch movies is in the theater, especially if it's like an IMAX theater. That's
right. Yeah, a very large theater with a great sound system, with a bright projector. Yeah. And an audience that aren't morons. That's the best way to do it. I am in Austin, so there's Alamo Draft House, and those can be good, but they're not normally the highest end theaters. Mm-hmm. And so I can go either way. It's just whatever's that's a good date night for me, going with my wife to an Alamo Draft House. Yeah. If I just want to see the best version of it, I'll probably, for where I live, go to an XD theater. Yeah. It's the one that the IMAXs are far away. Yeah, for sure. No, I would agree. Like large format, super immersive. It's always my favorite. What holiday movie do I like? My mind always goes to Christmas, and then I go to It's a Wonderful Life. So that's probably my favorite holiday movie. How about you? Let's go with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, very underrated. Thanksgiving has a lot of good holiday movies, but why is there such a division on what defines real horror? There are Babadook people, and then there are Annabelle people, and never the two shall meet.
That's not really that divide there isn't really even a horror divide so much as it's there's subgenre, and then there's kind of high film versus low film.
Yeah.
I think that's, we saw a movie from the guy that did It Comes at Night.
Right.
So there's a bunch of people, is this even horror?
No,
I hate it.
Yeah.
But it's because this is like art house auteur filmmaking. And then Annabelle is like mainstream jump scare type stuff. And that's what I think the real divide you see in a lot of that is. And then horror has they're a very devoted fan base.
Oh yeah, they're
with a lot of subgenres.
Yeah.
So then for some people it's a guy with a mask with a knife killing people in the 80s. For other people it's demon possession, and other people it's auteur, art house, like it's Midsummer.
Yeah, Ari Aster kind of stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Those are wildly different things, but they all fall under the same umbrella, and that's why I think you have a lot of discussion amongst it, because it's very difficult to. What is the common trait between Midsummer and Evil Dead 2 and Freddy's Dead?
Yeah. You're right. I mean, it all just comes down to personal preference. I mean, for myself, I try to give each, like I do with every film, I try to give each horror film like a fair shake, regardless of like what kind of horror movie is it, whether it's like a studio jump scare movie, whether it's like Ari Aster's latest venture, which by the way I'm wearing a Midsommar 824 shirt today, very appropriate. Or it's like a Jordan Peele, like thought-provoking kind of thing. I mean, I try to give each of them a fair shake because I do find enjoyment out of each subgenre. And I think that's really, if you want the genre to succeed, you want each of the subgenres to put out the best possible movies for that subgenre. So I don't know really what the if there is a division or like why people are like so against the other thing. I mean, it really comes down to fans just being finicky and all that shit. But anyways, great question, very very interesting. I haven't really thought about that before. How attractive is Sean Chandler in person? I don't know. How are you?
I don't know. Depends on when you catch me.
Yeah, I mean,
my appearance changes so much that you were there for this.
Yeah.
I met kind of a famous YouTube expert last Saturday.
Yeah.
Talked with the guy for several minutes, shot a little quick video with him, talked with him again a couple hours later, and the guy's name is Sean Cannell. So Sean C. Spelled the same way, Sean.
Yeah.
And then he saw me Monday night, 2 days later, and did not recognize me. Like, I'm in his face like, hey, man, nice to see you again. He did not recognize me.
Yeah.
And we also exchanged texts. I mean, it was like, it was not a
that's
single
nuts.
point of contract. So it really depends on when you catch me, because my appearance changes wildly depending on how much the wind has blown. And then also, apparently, my hair can be wildly different. I posted a picture of myself in California in front of a beach, and then the comments on it were like, who cut your hair? Like, weed whacker? Did you ask for the Bert and Ernie? Went with the Bert? Like, I get the same haircut I did before. I don't know what. So, answer to your question, super attractive.
Yes, there you go. Right straight from the horse's mouth. What is your favorite horror film of 2019? I think for me, it's a toss-up between Us and Midsommar. I need to rewatch both of them because, if you asked me yesterday, I would have said Us. But if you ask me today, I might say Midsommar because I'm wearing the shirt. But I want to rewatch both films. I just don't.
I guess The Lighthouse doesn't count, does it?
I don't even think that film fits in a genre, man. It's just weird, very weird. But
I don't have a good pick then.
Oh, you can go with The Lighthouse.
I'll go with The Lighthouse then. Because I wasn't Midsommar.
Right, we talked about this. Yeah.
And then Us on the story end, it lost me with the reveals.
Yeah.
I just, on a plot level, I was like, I don't think this holds together, and I'm too distracted by that to appreciate the things that do work about it.
Right, for sure.
And so then from there, I guess I would go to The Lighthouse, which is not really a horror movie, more thriller with kooky in it. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Psychological thriller. So
right, just making sure that Sean's still plugged in here. All right, are we going? There we go. Listen, if you were listening to any of that and Sean's audio kind of cut out, we apologize, but hopefully it should be working now. Favorite horror film of 20? I already answered that. I might go to The Lighthouse too if we're considering that one. Spider-Man 3 is underrated. I disagree, and I'm not really a big fan of that movie.
I would say it's underrated in the sense that I think too many people ignore the value that it does have.
That's fair.
I'd say it's way worse than the others. I wouldn't go positive on it.
Right.
But I think it has merit to it. It's not a total crap fest. I think there's things in it that do still work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I think the movie is at its best when it treats the suit like a vice and, like, Peter's trying to get over an addiction. That whole thing, love that. And I think if you ever watch the editor's cut of Spider-Man 3 doubles down on that, and it shows kind of where Raimi's original vision was with the black suit. But when it kind of strays away from it and gets goofy, it just gets really, really bad, and to the point where it actually is my least favorite Spider-Man film. I mean, because I'm a staunch defender of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which I know people don't really care for, but I think those films I just appreciate more.
I'm kind of baffled by the hate for the first one.
Yeah,
it's weird to me.
I mean, like I rewatched it not too long ago, and I think the thing is, it just like stylistically feels a little weird. But I do agree with you. Like, people have kind of just like turned their back to it, and they're like, "Oh, it's a trash movie," and I'm like, "No, it wasn't. People liked it when it came out."
Yeah, that's a weird one to me. That the way they just lump hate together, it's odd.
Right. Next question. I think you guys might expect to get this question, but what are your thoughts on Martin Scorsese's comments on the Marvel films? You know, we actually haven't gotten that question yet, so thank you for bringing it up.
He's right. I think we can both agree. Next question.
Yeah, exactly. There really is, I'll let you take it away.
They're very... Chris Stuckman put a tweet out of that I thought was a really good quick take on it, which was a reporter asked him a question to get an enticing response from him.
Right.
And he got it. And then the internet went crazy when they started running these headlines.
Right.
And then he doubled down on it.
Yeah.
The comments, they come off just kind of ignorant and weird.
Yeah.
Because it's a very... You can see what he's saying.
Right.
And to say that whether the initial one of, like, their roller coaster rides, they are.
Yeah.
That's 100% true. But cinema can be entertainment.
Yeah.
And then the second comment where he goes, they're just invading the cinemas. And you can see where a guy that's been around a long time looks at what's in the theaters, what the studios are giving big money to.
Yeah.
And he's like, all the money is going towards them just making these roller coaster rides. That's a legitimate, each of those are legitimate thoughts, criticisms.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's weird that he's saying that they're not cinema.
Yeah.
Like Robert Downey Jr. was at Howard Stern, and he was like trying to avoid throwing Martin Scorsese under the bus.
Right.
And then eventually he's like, it's a silly statement. I mean, what is by their movies? They just are. Like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I understand where he's coming from, and I think there's validity to what he's saying. But, I mean, there are movies, though. Like, they are, like, when you look at it from, like, just a very factual, technical standpoint, they are movies, they play in a theater, and therefore they are cinema. Now, I understand he's talking about, like, art, like, cinema in, like, sort of an artistic, you know, films with artistic merit sort of way. And to be fair, comic book films, until recently, really haven't started to... They really haven't been on the same playing field as, like, actual movies, because you go and listen, I love the MCU for what it is, and I'm not a hater of them. I love a lot of those movies, but I think some of those movies, I almost look at them more as like event television than I do like you know, movies that kind of cross over into other sorts of films. That's why movies like, you know, the Dark Knight trilogy, Logan, Joker, even, like, those are films that, like, transcend... I hate sounding, like, pretentious like this, but they're films that transcend the comic book genre because they use the genre as a platform to tell a story that is... I guess has something to say, is different, and so... that's kind of my take on it. I think his response wasn't worded correctly, and so that's what people are taking issue with. But
it just comes off like sour grapes.
You're
even
right.
Though he has a point that he's making.
Right. It comes off like sour grapes. And it comes off. I mean, obviously, Martin Scorsese is probably a very pretentious person, but it definitely comes off pretentious. But there is validity to what he's saying.
And I think the thing that makes it just in saying that he's stepping on the toes of the vast majority of the cinema going audience.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
yeah. He's like,
what do you, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling us that what we enjoy doesn't have merit. It's not cinema because it doesn't explore the human experience the way that your films do.
Right.
And that's not where people begin their journey into loving movies.
Right.
They start by they see like Ant-Man, which is just a fun movie, and then that gets them into the Marvel universe, and then you have Winter Soldier in there, and then they watch Logan, and this is a movie that it's like, wait, movies can like really like deal with death and regret.
Yeah.
And then they watch American Beauty. Like, obviously,
you're right.
But like, there's a journey to it. And then, or someone watches Sam Menendez is doing a Bond film. They're like, oh, it's just like a fun Bond film. Like, what else has he done? And then they watch
the rest of them.
Like, that's how people get into cinema. Everything is not designed to be high art for sophisticated people looking for a sophisticated movie, delving into the depths of mankind. And fun is part of the human experience in fantasy. And so it's just very, very odd.
Yeah.
That he doubled down on it. That he didn't make a clarifying statement where he was like, I'm not saying that entertainment isn't cinema. I'm just frustrated that it feels like a type of film isn't getting as much time in the theaters as it used to.
Right.
We're not seeing that mid-budget drama like we used to.
Yeah.
We're just seeing these big tent poles. And if you could even say something like, honestly, if you look at a lot of them, they're not good. Yeah. And that's true.
There's validity to that. But I completely agree with you. It's just, it is degrading when you look at the audience. Like, the audiences don't necessarily want to go out and watch a film like Rosemary's Baby or whatever, you know, like you're right, there has to be a gateway sort of thing.
I think, especially like my audience.
Yeah.
My audience is largely under 25, into blockbusters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so part of what I try to do is talk about the super popular stuff, and then they get into me, and so then like, here, check this out too. Have you seen Dragged Across Concrete? Have you seen this? Go to a film festival, check out this little movie. And that's part of what I try to do is get people to see older things, and obviously the hook, the draw, the big thing is these movies that he's talking about. So it's like, even for me, as knowing who my audience is, like, he's saying that they don't like cinema. Like, that's, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's very very snobby. So I completely agree with you there. But I mean, it's an interesting conversation to have, kind of like, about those comments. But I am a little over it in the media. I think people are giving it too much time. Swanson here. Hey, Eric, how's it going, man? Good to see you in here, if you are still in here. Thoughts on the Riddler casting? I love it. Paul Dano is a great actor. He's a very underrated character actor. He's got the right build. He can go wacky, kooky, crazy, all that sort of thing. And I'm just really excited. Just the cast of this Batman movie is unbelievable. I mean, it feels like I saw a critic tweet this out, but they were like, it feels like it feels like an A24 film. I mean, literally, it doesn't seem like the kind of movie that like a big studio would be making. That is it, like a Batman movie. But once again, we were just talking about this, like, you know, in order for the genre to evolve, you need to start getting in more diverse talent, people from the independent film realm, and you got a director like Matt Reeves who has dabbled in both big budget and smaller kind of movies. So it's like this Batman movie could be a nice blending of the two worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I like is that he's not someone that's associated with something else. Like, when they were like Jonah Hill, I was like, I see Jonah Hill.
Yeah, Jonah Hill would have been weird.
Jonah Hill as whoever they were going to cast him as, I just see Jonah Hill. Paul Dano, I see the character.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
That's my biggest issue with Robert Pattinson. When I posted my video with my thoughts on it, people like, well, he's a great actor, and you're complaining about he's not big. People who can hit the gym. Like, okay, yeah, but that's all. The big issue is that I associate him too much with a specific thing, and with some of these iconic roles, I don't want to see Edward Cullen. I know, like, I'm not questioning his acting talent. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I see association with other things, and these iconic roles, I prefer it when it's not that. So when I saw Paul Dano, I was like, yeah, I would just see the Riddler.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I disagree with you on Pattinson, but I do agree with you kind of like in the sort of,
it's not a cynical take.
No, yeah, for sure.
When obviously there's been a lot of drama surrounding the Batman and the Affleck and the history of all of it, but if you removed all of that and just said the follow up to Nolan's Batman is going to be from Matt Reeves, I'd be like, that's perfect.
Yeah,
I don't know who I would have picked other than him.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's
I mean, I loved what he did with those 2 Planet of the Apes movies, and where it was like tragedy with blockbuster.
Yeah.
That sounds like what I want for Batman.
Well, and that's like the sort of thing is he's taking like the character driven elements of like independent films and he's bringing them to like a blockbuster platform. So I agree. That's something that gets me really excited. Are you guys excited for the final Star Wars trailer coming out on Monday? Of course. Star Wars.
Yes.
I'm ready to buy tickets. What are your thoughts on people who say today's music sucks? It's nowhere near as good as it was back in the day. Although some music today does suck, there are some songs that come out that are good. I mean, people always say about things that wasn't the way it was when they were younger or whatever. I mean, you could even take Martin Scorsese's comments and say the same sort of thing. But I mean, I don't... Some of it's bad, but then again, some music is always bad. So
it's one of these criticisms that people always say as they get older.
Yeah,
they resonate with the music that they grew up with and that they heard from their parents.
Yeah,
and then they don't resonate with the new stuff. But you can go back 20 years and it was the same stuff. Like I remember, as I was an upperclassman in high school, Blink-182 started to come out.
Yeah,
we thought they were the worst pop punk band of all time because they're not Green Day. And 5 years before that, Green Day was the worst. And then like 5 years after them, then Fall Out Boy comes out like they're the worst. They're not Blink-182. I mean, it's just that's what people do is that they overvalue that which they grew up with and they devalue the stuff that wasn't important to them in the same way.
Right. I mean, it's all nostalgia stuff.
It's all nostalgia. And like you can pick decades that were better than others and just like there's huge leaps forward that happened from 1960 to 1970.
Sure.
And some of that's just technological. Some of it, like there's a lot of things that happened that it's like you couldn't make rock music like you had in 1970 in 1955 because they just didn't have like distortion. Like someone hadn't figured out like overdrive this, and then you get a sound, and as soon as you hear that sound, you go, "Oh, it's kind of cool if you just play these 3 chords and you have power chords."
Right.
And suddenly, rock music is actually invented, and then that leads to metal being invented. But and then punk,
right, punk, and all that,
But so you don't have necessarily that invention, but you can look at the last 20 years of everything like electronic type things, and so, the initial version of like, oh, they're just using auto-tune, doing the Cher effect and then Kid Rock did it in a song, and then you start to realize all the things you can do with it that are creative and different, and creating new sounds. And so it's like I don't listen to any new music because I'm old. I'm pushing 40, but that doesn't mean that it's not good. That just means I'm old.
Right.
Like that doesn't statement about anything other than my age.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, that's the whole. I mean, that's why nostalgia is always big. People like what they grew up with or what they experienced as a kid, which is why you get a lot of nostalgia properties getting remade and stuff like that. But
it's powerful stuff. And people that don't have the like basic level of kind of humility and I don't know, self-awareness to be like, wait, people were saying the same thing when this music came out. They said it about this music.
Yeah, I know. It's just a cycle, man. It's just, anyways. Opinions respected. What are films you disagree with Chris Stuckman and Flick Pick on?
I don't know. I mean, I could
I don't have one off the top of my head. Yeah.
I don't I don't even kind of think about things like I would remember generally speaking with that unless it was real polarizing. I haven't watched a ton of Flick Pick for his reviews. I enjoy him as a personality more than his specific analysis.
I love his vlog stuff. Like his personal channel, like the John Flickinger channel. Oh my god, I'd watch that stuff all day. It's great.
And but like as for like I couldn't really tell you his opinion on too many things.
It
seems like he's been a lot more negative on kind of fun popcorn stuff recently, so I disagree with him on that.
Yeah.
Chris Stuckman, I've watched a lot more of his stuff. I actually got to meet him at this film festival that we talked about. It's a really cool experience.
Yeah.
And got to discover one of these movies that I'm going to get a lot of people to go see called VFW. But he's probably a little bit more. He tends. I don't know. I don't have much to say.
Yeah, I mean,
really
like everyone likes different things, and that's why you go to certain critics. I mean, like you go to Shaun, I guess, if you want, like, because of your prominence with Marvel films, and because a lot of people come to you for your opinion on Marvel films, because you've built your channel kind of around that. So it's
If I were to comment in any direction about Chris, and also I don't want to publicly
of course,
criticize people, but if I were to say something positive about Chris Stuckman, I thought something real neat when I was watching one of his reviews on it 3-4 years ago, and I was like, he's going to give it this based off what he's saying, and I was right. And I watched another review, and I was like, he's going to give it this based off what he's saying, and I was right. And that he's been able to really master saying his opinion in a way that you can predict. It's consistent. And I thought to myself, man, I hope that I can do that one day. And I realized the way I structure my reviews doesn't function that way at all.
Yeah,
it doesn't, like, I don't. That's probably not an aspiration that I should have. Or if that is my aspiration, I need to change the way I do my reviews. But I thought that was really neat that, like, he'd gotten to a point that he was that consistent that you could predict it.
Yeah, you're right. It's very impressive. I mean, it's definitely a skill set I probably should work on. Anyways, damn, Shaun, finally get seeing you live. Well, there you go. Mr. Sean Chandler here, everybody. I have an interesting challenge for you guys. Think of it, the absolute worst movie you have watched this year, and try to pitch to me why I should watch it. Well,
it's actually pretty easy.
Okay, go for it.
It's The Fanatic. So
that's actually true. Yeah, it's like the first line that comes out of John Travolta's mouth is, "Hey, can't talk, gotta poo." If that doesn't pique your interest in some way, then
it's he fully commits to it. He does not phone this one in.
No,
but he commits to this incredibly tone deaf performance in a movie that's tone is totally out of control.
Oh yeah, it's
nuts. It's not The Room level of so bad it's good, but if you watch it with your friends, you'll have that same kind of experience of, like, how did this get made?
Mm-hmm.
And whereas when you watch The Room, you're watching actual amateurs make an amateur thing.
Right.
When you watch this, you're watching millionaires make a movie with the same amateur mistakes.
Yeah. God,
that's what I wanted to do while I was in town. I wanted to go to Devin Sawa's house. And look over his fence.
Yes,
and walk around his house.
I don't. Yeah. Fanatic. Yes, harass him and all this stuff. I mean, the other one. I wouldn't even consider Serenity a bad movie. It's just like an accidental, like, it's an accidental comedy. It's just but if I were going to go with Serenity, I'd say it's a sexy fishing noir. And if that doesn't pique your interest, I don't know what to say.
The boldest twist of the year.
Yeah, it really is. He really went for it. I gotta commend him on that. How would you pitch BVS? That's a very broad question. I don't really. I can't compute. So,
how would you pitch Batman v Superman?
Yeah, just like Batman versus Superman.
How would I do my own pitch for the movie?
I guess. Just like if you were trying to tell someone what BVS was about, even though it's literally actually.
Or how would I do Batman versus Superman? Or
I guess that could be the yeah. If you had to pitch Batman versus Superman to the studio, what would be your pitch? If you want to do it, we can skip over this one if you want.
I don't know if there's a way to, like, quickly pitch it.
Yeah.
I think some quick fixes is that you would just you remove Wonder Woman from the film and remove all the emails setting up films. Like, there's just too many things added into the film. You would drastically streamline what Luthor's plan was.
Right.
You would. It just wouldn't be so complex. It would be much more straightforward. I don't know that you would have Doomsday in it. You wouldn't try and do the death of Superman in the same film.
Right.
You need to have them team up for the end for something, but you probably don't do Doomsday to kill him off.
Yeah, I agree.
You have Lex Luthor with drones,
or like the mech armor. They could even something like that. Yeah.
In which case you have Batman using mech armor to try and maybe Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor work together. Lex Luthor takes his design
Yeah.
and makes it even more deadly. Like you would do something like that, and you just make a film that's more streamlined, but the same kind of idea of Lex Luthor's trying to tweak things.
Yeah.
Batman is compromised because something terrible has happened, and he just sees a threat that hasn't been there before.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that kind of compromises that film is that when it came out, it was only the second film in the universe, and so the idea was, the pitch for Man of Steel was, what if this came out of the blue, suddenly gods are among us?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then you follow that up with Batman sees that there's this threat that these aliens showed up and destroyed a city, killed hundreds of his employees. I'm the only person that might be able to stop this.
Right.
And then as the universe went along, it's like, yeah, but there's also the Atlanteans, and there's also Wonder Woman, and there's all these people that have been out there all this time, and it undermines the idea that Batman didn't know about that.
Right.
And so there's just problems built into their universe with using Man of Steel as the starting point. So anyway, there you go.
Well, I would also say taking that viewpoint and make a Batman film where Batman is dealing with this ideology of gods living among us and his, and building it towards his inevitable encounter with Superman in a third film. I just think doing BVS right out the gate is
right.
Just,
and that's other, I would, if I were to pitch it, I would also make a Batman movie. And the post-credit scene of the Batman movie is, you realize this is a prequel to Man of Steel.
Oh,
and the post-credit scene is the scene of Ben Affleck running through the streets.
Yeah.
You think how amazing, you make a street-level movie where you see a Batman that's kind of really worn down in the movie and desperately trying to do anything to save his city. He saves the city, post-credit scene, Superman shows up, and he just watches this new guy destroy all these people, and maybe we've met the people in that building.
Yeah, actually, that's perfect, because there's that little exchange with the one guy, and you're like, well, I don't really have a connection to you, but yeah.
And you see the Batman on the verge, he's a harsher Batman, but he's the guy that we know. He doesn't kill people in his movie. He doesn't have this stuff, and he even mentions that he has this code where he doesn't do things, and then he sees something so dangerous that he snaps.
Right.
And then you have Batman v Superman that's largely what we saw before, but not as convoluted.
Right.
And without Doomsday.
Right.
And suddenly, this Batman makes more sense. It is a lot more compelling because we saw who he was before.
Yeah. Yeah,
there we go.
That's
so
brilliant.
Maybe we do have
you just fixed Batman versus Superman. There we go. Although I will say I am a big fan of the Ultimate edition of that film. I think it does clean up a lot, but I'm still
not a hater of that film.
Yeah, for sure. Keep going. Do you plan on reviewing Soul and Onward when they come out? Yes, I do.
Yes.
They're Pixar films, so of course they look great. I've decided to mix my own concrete for the garage. That's just a really interesting question in general, right there. How much will the concrete for the I wish I could help you, man. That's not my area of expertise. Hey, Shaun, it's so cool to see you with this dude. How's it going, guy? My question is, in your filming process, what is your favorite part and least favorite part?
I don't know, because every video is kind of different, and likewise, sometimes if I have a creative element, that's the most fun part. When I have an idea and I'm like, oh, what if I would do Ant-Man and I suddenly get big, and what if we do for getting my Endgame, my arms, and so I'll spend a whole day fiddling around with something like that just because it's fun to do.
Yeah.
But I don't have an idea for everything, and I don't want to be the person just trying to force humor and force gags and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But creative elements are fun. If there's writing something that's different, like when I did the canceled Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, that was
researching
cool.
that.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's stuff that's really exciting because I'm creating something that I want to exist.
Right.
There's no shortage of movie reviews out there. There's no shortage, we even talked about this.
Oh, yeah,
There's no
there's
shortage of
rankings.
out there.
Yeah.
But creating something that's new and different. So I love it when I can find those ideas and have that window to lock it in. If I hadn't been doing this trip, I might have done one for Batman movies last week. But because I came to California, I've actually had notes for that since 3 years ago when I started my channel.
Oh, dang.
That's how long sometimes I'll be working on these videos.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff I get excited about.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm now that I'm full-time, I really don't have any, I need to do more.
You just got to keep pumping out. Yeah.
Every month I need to lock it in. I need to do one of those ones that's just real exciting.
Very cool. Very cool. What is your ideal Sinister Six villains? I assume the team. I'd go with the original one, Doc Ock, Mysterio, Green. Is the Green Goblin part of the Sinister Six? can't remember. Sandman, Craven. I'm missing two. Who am I missing? Who are the two that I'm missing? One of them probably is a goblin, right? Like, I don't think it's Green Goblin. Oh, Scorpion, and then is it Electro? Electro, I think, is the last one. Yeah, Green Goblin isn't part of the Sinister Six. So yeah, that would be my my six right there.
I couldn't guess. I'll say anything. I'd just be saying names. So
yeah,
I don't have anything to add.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Rhino's sometimes one too. Maybe Rhino over Electro. Yeah, that's tough.
Like anytime with stuff like that, if I'm just throwing out names, it's not very interesting to me.
Sure.
Like, I have to pitch something. Like, what's the
the
story tied to it? Otherwise, I'm just like, what guy do you want to see in this? Well, I want to have a story that's interesting to me. And
sure.
So then, a couple months back or a month back, I did kind of a pitch for what I would do for a Spider-Man movie, and I was just thinking what would be interesting to me on a story. And because of that, I went with a Raimi Spider-Man 4 set 15 years later.
Oh, yeah.
But it wasn't. I didn't pitch that because I was like, I didn't start with Raimi Spider-Man 4. I started with what type of scenarios would be interesting to me.
Yeah.
And that's where just listing characters, I don't have a thought.
Yeah, fair enough. Rhino Tool. Hey, Ryan, if you're still watching, great to see you, buddy. What's up, guys? Just got back from seeing Zombieland Double Tap. Really enjoyed it. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't comment, but I think you enjoyed it.
I did. It's a lot of fun.
You can check out his review over on his channel. Thoughts on the Evil Dead movies and Ash versus Evil Dead? I love all the Evil Dead movies, and I only watched the first season of Ash versus Evil Dead, but I loved it. I mean, it fit right in there with all the films. I want Raimi to come back and do more movies. I just love his style.
Yes, I mean, in my formative growing up or learning to love movies, I just watched the Evil Dead movies kind of on loop. I used to have speaking of DVDs, the Necronomicon version of
God,
the original film, and I had it on top of my TV, and so if you walked in the room and it was late at night, you'd be like, oh! Just the face of the Necronomicon.
That's crazy.
It was really cool. And then I got robbed and it was stolen.
Oh.
Like our whole apartment got cleaned out. So I love it. I've only seen a few episodes of Ash vs. Evil Dead. What I saw, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I just...
timing. I totally get that. Hey, Shaun, opinions on Jared Leto getting his chance to play Joker in the Solo film after the success of Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal. I'd love to see him get more screen time personally.
Opinions on Jared Leto getting his chance to play Joker in a solo film after the success of... is that a thing that's... I can't imagine that's out there.
Well, I don't know.
There's so many rumors.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was like there were two Joker films planned. There was like the solo one that was going to be in the DCEU, and then there was like this spin-off one that Todd Phillips was working on. I think that idea is scrapped.
Yeah,
I'd be very surprised if we
they
ever
did another Joker movie with a different. That's just
that's
so weird.
It's weird. Like, and the thing is, I don't want to see another solo Joker movie unless Batman is in it. Like, that's people are talking about. Oh, I want to see a Joaquin Phoenix Joker sequel. Can you do a Joker sequel without Batman? That's the next step. That's the next step in evolution for the character. So, no, and I really am not the biggest fan of Jared Leto's portrayal of the Joker. So
I don't think he got a fair shake.
Oh, right. I'll say that. But yeah,
where things are at, it's tough to be like, let's go back to that.
Sure.
Certainly not a solo movie.
Yeah.
If there's a way to work him into, give him a second chance in something else, I would probably be game for that.
Yeah.
But it's just tough to say with where all the pieces are at right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. Do either of you watch Red Letter Media? I do sometimes. When they do the Nerd Crew, it's pretty funny. Like they're funny when they do that, and some of their commentaries are funny. But it's just it's not particularly for me, just because I think they dog on a lot of things, and they just sound like disgruntled people.
That's whenever I kind of first discovered them, did this huge binge, and they can have like amazing perspective.
Yeah,
like, They said it was like, that is such good analysis and thought in kind of the way that they're discussing this, in their theory behind kind of what's going on with it.
Yeah.
But then it's just so cynical. It just feels like guys that we talk about movies, but we don't like movies.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I'm just like, it's the same reason why I don't like Cinema Sins anymore. I'm just like, it's just obnoxious.
Yeah, and especially the more I kind of do this, the more I'm like not very interested in anything that kind of has like this cynical, like, let's just beat stuff up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Moved away from that. So some of the ones that are like, we're like having fun with tropes, whether it's pitch meeting and honest races, things like that.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's having fun with it.
Yeah.
It feels like a love of film while being like, isn't it funny?
Yeah, of course.
I'm fine with that, but
Right.
when it's just like cinema sins, like listing things off, that's just not
It's
where my brain
obnoxious.
goes.
No, for sure. But yeah, anyways, have you heard of the Paul Dano playing Riddler? Yes, we just talked about that. He was my choice to play Scarecrow, which is the only actor who looks the part now, Thousands of Riddler choices, so yeah, brokenhearted. I mean, to me, it's not necessarily about who looks the part. They were looking at Jonah Hill to play the Riddler. He doesn't necessarily look like the Riddler at first glance, so it's all about who's best for the role. It's one of the reasons why I like Robert Pattinson as Batman. I think his acting resume really speaks for itself, and he's the kind of guy who's going to dive into the character and give it 100%. So I don't, as long as they're a good actor, whatever. So that's my take on that. But hey, coming from Shaun, awesome stream, guys. Well, thank you so much. Have you talked about the Matt Reeves Batman? Yes, we have. Fan cast the Penguin, Firefly, and Two-Face. I couldn't even.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I can't, man. I'd have to dig into that.
Like when I've done fan casts, I spend hours just brainstorming actors that I would enjoy that aren't in anything yet. I look at everyone else's fan cast, and I have like just huge lists of names, and I start going through like, what fits this universe, who goes together. Like just off the top of my head, it's like there's very few where I'm like, this is perfect. Like there's some are easy where it's like Bryan Cranston as Lex Luthor a few years back. Like that seemed pretty like an easy thing to say. Yeah. But normally I don't have things like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I always, whenever whenever someone asks about fan casting and I have to rattle off an answer immediately, I never even really think about other actors other than just like really like obvious choices, and I like to go deep and say, oh, they could actually do a turn. So I couldn't tell you. I agree, Griffin, about Man of Steel. Awesome, thanks, Ryan. Thoughts on The Emperor's New Groove? For me, it's one of my favorite Disney movies and their most underrated movie. I agree with you. It is one of their most underrated movies. I have a lot of fun. That movie, actually, when I was a kid, I watched that thing on repeat a lot because I thought it was absolutely hysterical. And, I'll even say that I like Kronk's New Groove, like the straight-to-DVD spinoff, just as much as the original because of Patrick Warburton. I mean, the guy he's comedic gold and everything. So I don't know if you have an opinion on that, but
I did notice a tick, fungo in the living room here.
There is one. I do have one. Yep.
Is that related to him?
It is. It is based off of that TV, that iteration of it, which I was sad that got canned, but I'm not really surprised because I only heard marketing about the first season, not the second. Yeah. Anyways, Shaun is the best. Yes, he is. He's great. I've been planning that super chat since you announced the stream, by the way. Don't feel so guilty for reminding me. Well, thank you so much, man. I just really appreciate you contributing to the channel in that kind of way. What is your favorite Harry Potter movie? For me, easy, Prisoner of Azkaban. Yeah, popcorn mixed with Sour Patch Kids. I couldn't really get into that. Favorite Mission Impossible film? Fallout. I just think it's just operating on another level. But I'll give it on. But in a close second is Mission Impossible 3, mainly because of Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I really like that. I mean, as JJ's directorial debut, I think it's a movie that has a lot of energy, and he kind of bursts on the scene in a cool way. So,
number 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. I can't pick one.
I'm being arbitrary when I try and pick between them. I think it's like a bunch of movies that are all just really great.
Right, yeah, for sure. Did Jonah Hill lose DC? Oh, lost the stream there. Oh, God. Come on, chat. What's happening? No. There are so many questions, guys. I really, really appreciate it. We're trying to get to as many as we can. Oh, God. So many. Show that. Anyways, sorry about that. We did lose the chat a little bit, so we're trying to go up. Okay. Did Jonah Hill lose DC or did DC lose Jonah? I mean, Jonah Hill backed out, so I guess DC lost Jonah.
Yeah, but what the rumor was, he wanted $10 million and they didn't want to pay $10 million.
Yeah, I mean, that's outrageous.
I don't feel like he's so perfect that you couldn't find someone else.
I completely, and they did find someone else, and I actually think it's a better choice. What character would you put into the MCU? Well, they're already putting him into the MCU, and it's Moon Knight. Although if we're talking about just like things that have already been made, definitely Daredevil.
I would go Daredevil, like of seeing actually Daredevil in the MCU.
Seeing him interact
Real
with
MCU.
Right, yeah, him interacting with Spider-Man 2 would be a lot of fun. Favorite DreamWorks movie? It used to be Monsters vs. Aliens, but I'd probably got to go with like How to Train Your Dragon or something now. I don't know. I was like, oh, you probably have no idea.
I really enjoyed Abominable and those dragon movies.
Yeah, for sure. Thoughts on Wolverine versus Hulk? Never seen it.
Yeah, never seen it. Things like that don't normally interest me too much if it's not super plot driven.
Yeah. Fan cast. I'm not. We're not. Yeah, I can't do that unfortunately. Dialogue, huge campaign. Adam Sandler in an A24 film. Damn, he is really good for it. They call this shit poop. All right, Ryan, that's a very off-color comment from you. That's weird. If Adam Sandler gets nominated for an Oscar, will it be funny if his next comedy gonna promote him as Academy Award nominee? Yeah, I guess that is fun.
Was he not nominated before?
No. I mean, he probably should have been for Punch Drunk Love, but yeah, he has never been nominated. So now all of those Netflix Adam Sandler movies will have Academy Award nominee Adam Sandler. That's insane. Which movie is worse, Batman and Robin or Godzilla?
Having watched Godzilla back in June, I think that is way worse.
I think Godzilla is worse because at least you can watch Batman and Robin like knowing it's a bad movie and just like enjoying the badness of it. Yeah.
There was stuff in Godzilla where I was like, you didn't even stop to think about the implications of what you just did.
Yeah,
like killing a bunch of eggs and stuff like that, and I was just terrible on every level, and like misunderstood what you would want from a Godzilla movie. It was a weird experience to watch it and be like, why did they do this?
Yeah, I mean,
and it's from my favorite director, Roland Emmerich.
Oh,
we were talking about this the other day.
You beat me to the punch. Roland Emmerich, I think, is by far the worst filmmaker working today. He's never made a good movie, and the only movie he's credited on as director that is good is The Patriot. And I'm 90% sure it was ghost directed by Mel Gibson. So take that as you will. How do you feel about the MCU movie re-releases? Avengers Endgame on June 28th and Spider-Man Far From Home on whatever that says. I don't really have an opinion on it.
Labor Day weekend.
Oh, Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day weekend.
I don't really have an opinion on it, to be honest with you. I mean, the Endgame thing, They probably should have waited longer to do it, but I understood why they did it. They wanted it to be in theaters while Spider-Man was in theaters. It kind of like boost, that whole thing. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you have an opinion on it at all?
I wish they would have done a real extended cut of Endgame.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it right. It was weird to do
that Hulk
Spider-Man,
scene.
This Hulk scene incomplete.
Then
with Spider-Man, putting it out. Like, it was cool for me because my kids hadn't seen it. We just missed it.
Right,
and so when they did the re-release, I was there first screening of it with my whole family.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, so I'm very positive on it in that sense. But, like, the extended is literally just this little 5-minute deal that came out 2 weeks later on the Blu-ray.
Right. For sure. I mean, like, yeah, it just kind of, it was definitely like a gimmick. But thoughts on Blended? Is it a Adam Sandler comedy that also has Drew Barrymore, and they have like a cheaper than a dozen like scenario involving his kids from 2 divorced families? I don't even remember Blended, if I'm being honest with you.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, but I'll take your word on it for sure. Wait, what? If you interview the Safdies, please tell me in advance so I can be ready. I will probably make an announcement if you guys keep up with my interview podcast, The Fourth Wall. You'll hear about it. I got Ed Norton and possibly Willem Dafoe coming up on there, so that'll be fun. I swear he ain't reading the YouTube comments.
That means you're not reading the comments, because if you were, you would know we were going through them in order.
Ooh.
Which you can debate the merits of whether we should have skipped ahead, but absolutely, there's 100% going through them.
I know,
one by one.
There's his subtle jab trying to wrap this up.
That's not what I'm doing. I don't have any word. I can't even go home.
We gotta get tacos.
That's right. We have to get tacos.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe I am trying to wrap it up now. To get tacos.
I'm very hungry. I want tacos. I was trying to scroll through it. We're not gonna talk about Paul Dano anymore. Most overrated horror movies. I don't know. Oscar predictions. We're gonna get. if you guys watch the front runners, we're gonna do Oscar predictions this weekend. Tyler Tompkins and I are going to do our early Oscar predictions like we did last year, so you can stay tuned for that. Do you like Iron Man better or Batman? Also, who do you think wins in a fight? I think Batman wins in a fight, and I like Batman more.
Generically, Batman. I go with Batman wins the fight. He's strategic.
Yeah.
You're comparing two, like Tony's the inventor, but Batman's the strategist.
Yeah.
And Tony's a lot more impulsive. Batman is gonna be wise with his decision making.
Yeah, for sure. Favorite Adam Sandler movies?
Wedding Singer.
Yeah, I mean, Wedding Singer's hard to go with. For me, Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems are just on a completely other level. But it depends on what you want out of Adam Sandler. If you want one of his comedies, like
Jack and Jill.
Right. Excellent movie.
Don't Mess with the Zohan.
Especially that one.
Ridiculous cowboy movie.
Yeah. I like Click, though. Click is a very good movie. What are your thoughts on Martin Scorsese? I already answered that. Favorite Scorsese film? For me, it's The Departed.
I don't know. My brain's a little bit too fried at the moment.
We are fried. We got to start wrapping this up.
I'm not as... Like, I don't know. Scorsese's not the guy I go to as, like, my list of kind of the greats of the old classics. So I don't have one that immediately comes to mind.
Right, for sure. Going down here, just skipping through, seeing a bunch of them. How's Lost? I just got Hulu and don't know if I want to get invested in such a long show. It's my favorite, one of my favorite shows of all time.
It's not that long, though.
Yeah.
Comparatively, it's not that long. Season 1 is one of the best seasons of television ever. Season 2 is a great follow-up to the first season, and then it kind of... A lot of people were very frustrated at the end.
Yeah, for sure. Thoughts on the original Lion King '94? I like the film. My only issue is that Simba and Nala's story takes a backseat to Scar, which in better telling of Lion King, a la Robin Hood. I mean, I love the original Lion King. It's one of the greatest animated
It's my
films.
favorite animated film.
Yep. And you want to take one more, and then we'll wrap it up?
Yeah, Sean's hair game is on fire.
Is that one? I didn't even see that one on there.
It was at the bottom down there. You just scrolled away from it. Sorry.
Facial hair. Facial hair game.
The beard, yeah.
Right, there we go. Do you want to end it there?
Not because there's some weird hairs because I haven't shaved since I came to this state. So.
All right. Well,
on camera, I guess it looks nice.
Yeah, for sure. He's going to keep the beard. It's going to be a permanent thing on his channel. Well, listen, guys, we're almost approaching the 2-hour mark. This has gone on for a long time, but we really appreciate all the questions you sent in. I know we didn't get to all of them, but hopefully we can do another one at some point in time, whether it's just me or whether it's me and a guest, who knows. But we really do appreciate, and especially those of you who sent in super chats, that was very, very kind of you. And for those of you who we didn't get to your questions, once again, I apologize, but this is, we're coming up on 2 hours. We are mentally out. We're just mentally checked out.
Always tricky because it's like
Yeah.
you can get so backed up and you want to get the ones that were asked at first, and then you don't know where to skip. And it's not the best interface to get to know where the questions are at.
Yeah, for sure. But anyways, guys, Shaun, I'm sure most of these people know you because they're probably coming from your channel. But anyways, for those of you who watch the show and aren't familiar with Shaun, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on the YouTubes at Sean Chandler Talks About. Just type in Sean Chandler. You'll either find someone that is a football player or someone that looks like me. It's the one that looks like me. And then I'm also real active on Instagram at Sean Talks About.
Boom. There you go. Yeah, definitely give him a follow.
Here's my mic. Sean Talks About on the Instagram.
There you go. He wanted to make sure he got that in because he's been doing a lot of like not vlogging, but just like capturing your trip here.
Yeah, trying to document it and it's been like so many like adventures. It's been a jam packed.
It really has.
We could have so many things
every single
day.
day. Yeah.
Except Wednesday we didn't do.
Of
much.
course, yeah, for sure.
It's like recovering from like how much stuff. Like we got Tuesday ended. I was like, I can't believe I've only been here 3 days.
I know. It's crazy. But I mean, there's a lot to see, a lot to do, a lot of people to meet. You may actually meet up with John Campea.
Yeah,
so let's hope that happens, right? Fingers crossed on that one. Listen, guys, if you are in the LA area, Shaun is having a meet and greet on Friday outside the AMC Burbank 16 before a screening of Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. So if you want to...
6 o'clock out front.
Yep.
Movies at 6:30, the IMAX screening.
Boom. Yep.
IMAX was $1 cheaper than the Dolby.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess Dolby has that preferred seating. I think that's the thing, is that the seats in the Dolby are a little bit nicer. So yeah, if you are in the LA area or you're interested in coming to say hi to Shaun, I might be there. Who knows? But definitely, if you want to say hi to Shaun, it's going to be on Friday outside the AMC Burbank 16 at 6.
6.
Yes.
I will be there.
He will be there at 6, so definitely do that. Anyways, guys, thank you so much again for tuning into this live stream. If you're catching it on the replay, thanks for sticking through 2 hours of questions. Hopefully it was entertaining. As always, guys, you can like FilmSpeak on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Just search FilmSpeak. It'll pop up. You can give me a follow on Twitter if you feel so inclined, at Griff Schiller. All right. And until the next live stream, guys, take care.
James Bond.
Been like this all day. Did you rub my lamp?
1,000 generations living now.
Here we go.